Hey all, and welcome to the second video on my new channel Casio Watches. Now before we get into the showcase video, I just want to give everybody a quick reminder about our Facebook group Casio Watches. We've been going for a few weeks now, and we could do with some new members joining, sharing their collections, joining in the discussion. So if you use Facebook, please come and join the group. There's a link below in the description, and there's a link in the channel description too. So for this second video in Casio Watches group, I thought I'd go for a watch that whenever I share a picture of it or whenever I'm wearing it out and about, it tends to get a lot of attention, and that is of course the Casio DW-290 1V. Now this watch is often known as the Mission Impossible watch because back in 1996 when Mission Impossible the film came out starring Tom Cruise, he actually wore this watch at various points throughout the movie, so it's been affectionately known as the Mission Impossible watch. But if Tom Cruise isn't an actor that you like, or you're not a fan of the Mission Impossible films, there's another film that not quite as good as Mission Impossible, shall we say, where the character in it wears this watch, and that's the film National Security. Now, the character played by Steve Zahn, I think that's how you pronounce his name, in the National Security film in 2003, he wears a DW-290 as he's going about his business. So, if we have a little closer look at it, we might be able to see just exactly why it always gets lots of comments and likes when I share it on social media, or on the odd occasion, and the quite rare occasion when I wear it out and about, and I'll explain later on where I don't tend to wear it too much when I'm out and about. So let's have a closer look at the watch. Now, I'm a real fan of all the text that you get on the Casio watches. Sometimes they go a bit overboard, and this is a fine example of that. Some people really don't like it. They like to rub the lettering off and have a plainer case, a plainer watch strap, but I really like this. I managed to buy this brand new off eBay for £35. It still had the tags on it, and the reason I wanted to get one that hadn't been worn before is because I'm really liking the colour. There it is, like a really vibrant turquoise on the strap itself, where it says electroluminescence illuminator, water resist 200 meters, and I really want this to stay on this watch, and that's one of the main reasons I don't wear this watch that often when I'm out and about. I don't want this to rub off, and I'm under the impression from other videos and things I've read online that it comes off quite easily. So when I wear this watch, it's because I'm out somewhere and I'm not going to get it bumped. I'm not going to start scuffing it and taking off this lettering. So as you can see, lots of text over this watch. Lots of times Casios tend to almost advertise every feature that the watch does. I mean, even down here, look, light, just in case you forget that this button's the light button. It's all labelled across this Casio. Now, one thing you'll notice about this watch, and I'll compare it to some others in my collection in a minute, is the size of it. It's a really chunky piece, and again, I think this is why it attracts attention when you wear it out and about, the size of it on your wrist. And of course it stood out in the Mission Impossible movie when Tom Cruise's character was wearing it. Now, if I show you this compared to just a regular smaller Casio over here, you can see straight away there's a real size difference going on here, and really stands out. Really well built, really thick case on this, very clear screen as well, which is another great feature of this watch. So comparing it to this, I think this is a W86. If I hold up a G-Shock next to it, you can start to see that we're now getting very similar in size here between this Casio, the DW-290, and this Casio G-Shock that I've got here. And again, even the thickness, quite similar. Now, the way I see it is this watch was the precursor to the G-Shock. It's a pre-G-Shock. It's built very similarly to a G-Shock. It has the same features of a G-Shock, it just hasn't got G-Shock on the case. And the way I see it, it's almost like the teenage years of the G-Shock, this watch here, before it grew up and became an actual G-Shock. You can bash this about just like you can with this one, and it's going to be working. It's a real tough case. It's got real thick almost lugs around the buttons there, but still very easy to press, which I'll go through in a minute. But it's a really solid piece, really solid watch, that precursor to the G-Shocks that came later on. If I just put them a bit closer together, you can see really thick, solid cases. Similar straps, and I'll talk more about the straps in a minute or two when I put the watch on. Now, it's very bright in the room where I'm filming this, but I'll try and show the light if I can, the illumination. Okay, looks more blue on video, but in real life it's very green illumination, really bright, really vibrant. And again, for the price, I paid £35 for this off eBay with tags still on it. You can actually get it brand new from Argos. I think Argos are selling it for about £45, something like that, which still isn't too bad a price. I've also been told though that if you're in the UK to keep an eye out in the TK Maxx stores. Every so often they seem to have Casios lying around in their stores that you can get for fantastic prices. And I know a guy who managed to pick one of these up, new with tags in the box. I think he paid £16 for it. I mean, I was happy to pay £35 for this one. I'm not going to wear it too much. I'm going to keep it as pristine as I can, but if you can get one for £16, then definitely don't pass on that opportunity. So let's get it off this holder and have another look at it. So as you can see, very unusual strap there. These really deep waves that it's got set into the strap. Now actually, when you put it on, it's pretty comfortable. It's not the most comfortable Casio watch I own. If you look at a G-Shock here, they've still got the waves in the band, but they're not quite as deep as this one. They seem to go really overboard with the waves and how deep they are, and sometimes these parts here can actually dig into your wrist. It's not really painful, just slightly uncomfortable. Again, it depends on the size of your wrist. If you look at the back, nice flat back on this one, DW-290, and this one is the 3231 module in this one. I believe you can get a different module in this watch. So if I quickly pop it on, and we can see how it looks on the wrist. Now I've got a wrist which is just under 7 inches. So for those of you that have got a similar wrist size to me, you can see how it sits. So just under 7 inches on my wrist. There we go. And you can see, if I try and tilt it a little bit, it's hard to show it on camera, but you can see how just slightly digging into my wrist a little bit there. Not uncomfortable, but again, I don't wear this watch all day, or if I do wear it on the other occasion, it's only for a couple of hours. People who might want to wear it longer than I do might start to notice those sort of indentations in their wrist. Again though, it's a thick watch, it's thicker than most Casios. You're starting to get into that G-Shock thickness there, but you can get a jumper over it, could get a work shirt over it as well. Again though, I like to have it on show. There we go. Try and get some of the angle on it. Really like the colour, love the red stripe around the face there. Really like this turquoise text that's all over the watch and the strap. And again, you might be able to see it on here. These, they look like they're separate rivets driven into the case. I think they're just part of the moulding. Really stands out, and I can see definitely why this watch was chosen to feature in the Mission Impossible film. Looks pretty futuristic, looks unusual even today in 2019. So when this watch first came out, and obviously in the 1996 Mission Impossible, really stood out as something different. I'm going to wear this watch every so often for short amounts of time because, as I said before, I don't want to get it damaged. I don't want to knock the lettering off it. I don't want to get it scratched up. I'm happy for this to sit in my watch box and just look awesome. It doesn't have to be on my wrist. I've got lots of other watches I can wear each day. I think that's pretty much for the basics of what I like about this watch and some of the details about this watch. So just quickly go through now. Again, like any Casio, it's got quite simple features. This button here cycles through all the different modes. So we've got our general time mode here. Then we've got the alarm. Okay, we've got the countdown timer. We've got the stopwatch. Again, nice feature on this particular watch. when you're in the stopwatch mode here, you've also got the time still ticking away at the top there. So if you've got the stopwatch on a lot because you're running or you're at the gym, you can still see what time of day it is in the top corner. That's a really nice feature. For some people, that's make or break on whether they get a watch or not. I've got much more expensive Casios and G-Shocks than this, and they don't show the actual clock time in the corner when you're in stopwatch mode. So that's a really great feature of this particular watch. And again, classic trademark of Casios. As I cycle through, you hear a different beep when it goes back to time mode. There we go. So without even looking, you know you're back on that setting. The buttons are really easy to press. They stick out a little bit. Again, they're protected by these rubber lugs around the side, but they're easy to press. They're not going to be accidentally pressed too often. This one up here, the adjust button, that one is sunk in. That's meant to be like that. It's not broken. So these three around here, they protrude quite a lot more than the adjust button, which is sort of sunk in up there. Really great watch. If you can find one for £35 or less, especially if you can find one at TK Maxx for £16, then I definitely recommend getting this watch, adding it to your collection. It's got a lot going for it, not just the fact that it was featured in a movie, and lots of people like to collect movie watches, but the actual build quality, the pre-G-Shock, you're getting all the G-Shock features here pretty much for less than £50, even if you have to buy a brand new one from Argos. I really like it. I'm glad that I've got it in my collection. And if you've got one, leave a comment in the section below. I believe there might even be some colour variants. I haven't seen any, but I would imagine there were some in the Japanese market, for example. So I think we'll leave it there for this showcase of the DW-290, aka the Mission Impossible watch, aka the National Security watch. Again, please don't forget to check out my channel, Casio Watches, in the Facebook group with the same name. Details in the description below. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. And I think in future I'm going to do a few videos where I'm comparing a couple of my watches, and hopefully in the next week or so picking up another G-Shock that's got solar and multiband 6, like a couple of the watches I bought recently, but something a bit different, one that you don't tend to see too often. So again, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the Casio Watches Facebook group as well. Thanks, and see you next time.